Who we got with us today?
Miss Mamie.
Tell us a bit about yourself, Miss Mamie.
Well, during the experience that what I got going through, young at my younger age, I went through a lot of people dealing with drugs, and people in my family dealt with drugs for a long time. I was molested at a young age. I was going through some things mentally because I couldn't tell my parents about what was going on with me. But at the same time, it led me into doing drugs. But now I'm 4 years clean. I've been doing better. I still dip and dab for go out in the streets and make money. But I have my life together. I'm not homeless anymore. But going through the struggle that I still have mental illness dealing with it because it was a tragedy that someone had violated me when I was young. But at the same time, God has freed me from that and I have forgave the person and I moved on. But during my growing up, I was in bad relationships, dealing with an abusive man. And he used to jump on me, and mentally that messed me up. And I always figured that something about that pain um, really pushed me off into drugs too. But at the same time, God has freed me from it. I go to church now. Um, I I take care of my 14-year-old grandchild, and I'm trying to do better with my life.
Miss Mamie, tell us about what kind of household you grew up in. Were both parents present?
No, both parents was not present. My parent, since they were in and out of prison, they left me with my grandmother. And living with my grandmother, it was a lot of struggle because she was working all the time, and she never knew that somebody had violated me. And it wasn't a way that I could tell her because there was somebody that was in the family. But I have got past that, and I'm still dealing with it mentally because it was a trauma to me. But at the same time, I since the abusive relationship that I was in, mentally it led me into stealing, led me into prostitution, led me into drugs, and my mental illness had been diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenia. So I take medication to maintain my sanity.
Miss Mamie, what schools did you go to growing
I
up?
went to Hempstead. I went to Southwest, and I went to a Catholic school. I was mainly at the young age going to a Catholic school, and they paid for me to go to a Catholic school. But but I did good. I did good.
Are you originally from St. Louis?
Yes, I am.
Brothers and sisters?
I have one sibling, my sister, and she deceased, so it's just me. My mother and my father is deceased. Most everybody that's on my side, for is my mother, my father, my grandparents, they're all deceased.
How is it when you had children? What did you teach your children growing up?
Well, during my addiction, my children were kept with my parents, my grandparents, and they went through some trauma too. And that, I lost a child dealing with me having kids in and out of prison, drug related, um, abusive relationship, and my kids were spread it out all over. But they still have resentments against me. One still have resentment against me. But since I've been clean, my children have got to know me better and different.
How did being incarcerated affect you, like mentally? Like, how did that affect your life?
Being incarcerated really put a shell on not just my mind, but my relationships with my children, with my family, because it was like being out of touch, out of sight, and out of mind. So it was like that they left me. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get much letters or stuff like that. So that kind of like put me in a messed up mode of thinking that nobody didn't care for me. And it kind of made me feel like that I was not worthy of being a mother, a sister, a aunt, or a parent.
Did you, in retrospect, thinking back, Miss Mamie, did you hold that same resentment towards your parents
Yes, I
growing
did.
up?
Yes, I did. I held. It was like a curse because my mother didn't take care of me, and it made me feel like that I did that cycle all over again. The cycle that my mother didn't take care of me. My mother was on drugs. But at the same time, my grandparents took good care of me. They raised me right with respect and church and loyal, and I chose to do the certain things I did because of my trauma. But at the same time, I missed my mother. I missed my father. So I can understand how my children feel, absent mother and off and on absent father. So it was like a cycle.
When did you get introduced to the street life, like so to speak?
I got introduced to the street life by in the 80s, when I left home. I had left home. When I got abused, I left home and I had to make it on my own. And by me making it on my own, I couldn't go back home. I couldn't I couldn't come back because we say parents would say, if you leave my house, don't come back to my house. You have to make your bed and lie in it. And I did. I made my bed and I lie in it, and I didn't go back home.
Miss Mamie, growing up from a young girl till now, what changes have you seen take place in the city of St. Louis that you probably never thought would be going on?
The changes that's taking place in St. Louis is, to me, it's still a lot of things that are going on in St. Louis that is blind to the eye, but it's a lot of opportunities for a lot of places that you can go to eat, to get help, to resolve what's going on in your trauma. And that's mostly the processes of things that's going on. Is they helping us now. They seem to send other people out to help us to move forward into being clean and sober. Their shelters, stuff like that.
How has the toxic substances on the street changed since the 80s?
Oh, it's still bad. It's still bad. It changed extremely because there's not a lot of drug houses. So they didn't close a lot of drug houses, but they still have certain things that's going on.
Mm-hmm. And Ms. Mamie, what kind of advice could you give a young lady who's probably going through what you've been through and thinking that is not any way out of it, or it's no way to recover from it? What could you tell her?
I can tell her that there is a God. She is somebody. That she have to change and put a value on her soul and on her life, and make things in a different perspective, because the streets will kill you. The lifestyle will kill you. The people that's drugging and abusing drugs and selling their body will die out here in the streets. It's not worth it. None of that the stuff that I went through, I don't change anything, but your worth is more important to you in your life than anything in the world. God is truly amazing, and he will free you from a lot of things in your life. You just have to have more patience and tolerance, and know that there is somebody that loves you, and God loves you.
Miss Mamie, if you can go back and talk to a young Miss Mamie, knowing what you know today, you can go back and talk to your younger self, what would you tell her?
That she's worthy. She is truly worthy.
And Miss Mamie, we appreciate you sharing with us. We appreciate everything that you've told us so far. And if you want to share anything on the closeout, any positive messages, wisdom, anything on the closeout, now's the time you can say it.
The positive thing that I would like to say is, keep your life simple and lean not to your own understanding of things, and trust in God with all their heart.
Thank you, Miss Mamie. We wish you all the best.